Travis Kelce's unexpected reply at Homeschool Days event stuns the crowd. A reporter asked Travis Kelce a question that no one expected. At the Homeschool Days event, Kelce was answering questions. Most were about football, training, and his career. A young boy raised it. Kelce said, "What is your question, buddy?" The boy asked, "What is your biggest regret in life?" Kelce responded, "That is a great question, and to be honest, I have one. Regret that still stays with me." He continued, "There was a time when I took everything for granted. My talent, my opportunities, and the people around me. I thought success would always be there, but I was wrong." He added, "There was a moment where I almost lost everything, and if I had, I would not be standing here today." Kelce paused. "Let me tell you what happened." His answer was not what anyone expected. What he said next would surprise everyone. Travis Kelce looked at the audience and continued, "When I was younger, I made choices that could have ruined everything for me," he said. "I was focused on having fun, not thinking about the consequences." He paused for a moment before continuing. "I made a mistake that cost me my spot on the... I was suspended, and for the first time, I realized football could be taken away from me." The audience listened as Kelce spoke. That moment changed everything. "I had worked my whole life to play at the highest level, and one bad decision nearly ended it all." Kelce explained how his brother, Jason Kelce, stepped in. "Jason told me, if you want this life, you need to act like it matters." He was right. I had to make a choice, keep wasting my potential or fight for my future. He continued, "I changed my habits. I earned back my place on the team. I had to prove that I was serious. That mistake taught me a lesson I will never forget." Kelce looked at the young boy who asked the question. "So, my biggest regret? Not realizing sooner how easily everything can be lost. But I learned, and that is why I am here today." Kelce had shared a personal story, but there was more to say. What he said next would leave the audience even more surprised. Travis Kelce looked at the audience and continued, "That mistake could have defined me, but I refused to let it," he said. "I had to prove to myself, my coaches, and my family that I was not going to waste my opportunity." Kelce explained how he worked harder than ever to earn back. "I focused on football, improved my discipline, and made sure I never put myself in that position again." He looked toward the young boy who had asked the question. "Regret can either hold you back or push you forward. I chose to let it push me." A reporter asked, "Was there ever a moment where you thought you would not make it to the NFL?" Kelce nodded. "Of course. After my suspension, I had doubts. I wondered if coaches would take a chance on me, but I realized that talent alone is not enough. Character matters. How you respond to failure matters." He continued, "I was lucky to have people who believed in me, but I had to prove I deserved that second chance. No one was going to hand it to me." Kelce had shared a lesson about second chances, but what he said next would make an even bigger impact. Travis Kelce continued speaking, addressing the young boy directly. "I will tell you something important," Kelce said. "Opportunities do not last forever. When you get a second chance, you have to grab it and never let go." Kelce explained how he committed himself to growth. "I stayed disciplined, focused on my training, and blocked out distractions. I knew that if I made another mistake, there would not be another chance." A fan asked, "Did you ever think about giving up?" Kelce shook his head. "I did not let that be an option. My older brother Jason reminded me of something. If you want to be great, you cannot waste time feeling sorry for yourself. You have to work," he continued. "I started treating every practice like a game, every game like a championship. I knew my future depended on my actions." Kelce then smiled. "When the NFL draft came, I did not know if I would get picked, but when I got that call, I knew my hard work had paid off." He had made it, but his journey was not over. There was one more lesson he wanted to share, and it would leave everyone thinking. "I will tell you something important," Kelce said. "Opportunities do not last forever. When you get A second chance. You have to grab it and never let go. Kelce explained how he committed himself to growth. I stayed disciplined, focused on my training, and blocked out distractions. I knew that if I made another mistake, there would not be another chance. A fan raised their hand. Did you ever think about giving up? Kelce shook his head. I did not let that be an option. My older brother Jason reminded me of something. If you want to be great, you cannot waste time feeling sorry for yourself. You have to work. He continued. I started treating every practice like a game, every game like a championship. I knew my future depended on my actions. Kelce then smiled. When the NFL draft came, I did not know if I would get picked, but when I got that call, I knew my hard work had paid off. But getting drafted was not the end of the story, it was just the beginning. Kelce explained that stepping into the NFL came with new challenges. I went from trying to prove I deserve a second chance to trying to prove I belonged in the league, he said. Nothing is ever guaranteed, no matter how talented you are. A reporter asked, what was the hardest part of transitioning from college to the NFL? Kelce thought for a moment. Adjusting to the speed of the game, he said. In college, I had time to think. In the NFL, everything happens fast. Defenses adjust, plays change, and if you are not ready, you will get left behind. He continued, I had to work harder than ever. I was not just playing for myself anymore. I was representing a team, a city, and every person who believed in me. Another fan asked, what kept you going when things got tough? Kelce nodded. My love for the game. But more than that, the people who supported me, my brother, my coaches, my teammates. When you have people who believe in you, you do not want to let them down. He paused for a moment, and that is why past mistakes define me. I work to become better, not just as a player, but as a person. The crowd listened as Kelce shared one final lesson. Regret will either control you or it will push you forward. I chose to let it push me forward. Kelce had shared his story, but he was not done yet. What he said next would be even more powerful. Travis Kelce took a deep breath before continuing. He had spoken about his biggest regret, his second chance, and the work it took to make it in the NFL. But there was still something he wanted to share. Everything I told you so far is about football, Kelce said. But let me tell you, something more important in life is bigger than this game. A fan in the crowd raised a hand. What do you mean? Kelce nodded. For years, I thought success meant being great at football. I thought if I won games, made big plays, and became a champion, then I had everything I needed. But I was wrong. He adjusted his mic and looked at the crowd. There was a point in my life where I had everything I ever dreamed of: money, fame, championships. But I still felt like something was missing. A reporter leaned in. What was missing? Kelce sighed. Balance. Purpose outside of football. I spent so much time trying to prove myself on the field that I forgot to enjoy life off the field, he continued. Do you know what really changed my mindset? It was not winning a Super Bowl. It was not signing a big contract. It was a conversation with my brother. He looked toward the crowd. Jason told me, Travis, football will not last forever. Who are you when the game is over? The room went silent. It was a question Kelce had never fully considered. For years, football was my identity. But Jason was right. There will be a day when I play my last game. And when that day comes, what will I have outside of football? A young athlete in the crowd raised his hand. So what did you do? Kelce smiled. I started focusing on the things that truly matter: family, friendships, giving back. I realized that success is not just about what you accomplish, but how you use your success to help others. He looked at the young boy who had asked him about regret. I regret taking things for granted when I was younger, but I will not regret making the most of what I have now. A reporter asked, do you think that realization has made you a better player? Kelce nodded. Without a doubt. When I stopped playing with the pressure of proving myself and started playing because I loved the game, I became even better. He paused, then added, and that is something I want every young athlete to know. Your sport does not define you. You do. Kelce had shared his most personal lesson yet, but what he said next would be even more unexpected. Travis Kelce looked at the audience and continued, everything I have learned in football has taught me about life, but the biggest lesson is, this success means nothing if you do not appreciate it. A fan raised a hand. What do you mean by that? Kelce nodded. For a long time, I was chasing the next achievement, more wins, bigger contracts, greater records. But I never slowed down to appreciate what I already had. A reporter asked, was there a moment when you realized this? Kelce thought for a second. Yes. After winning my first Super Bowl, I expected to feel complete. But after the celebration ended, I was already thinking about the next one. That is when I knew I was never satisfied, because I was always looking ahead instead of enjoying where I was. He continued, that is why I changed my mindset. Now I enjoy every moment. I appreciate my teammates, my family, and the opportunities I have. I do not take anything for granted. He then looked at the young boy who had asked about regrets. So, if I could give you one piece of advice, be grateful for where you are, even while chasing bigger goals. Kelce had shared powerful words, but his final message would be the one people remembered most. Travis Kelce, looking at the crowd. Gratitude changed my perspective. I stopped focusing only on what was next and started appreciating what I already had. A fan asked, does that mean you stopped pushing yourself? Kelce shook his head. Not at all. It means I push myself harder, but for the right reasons. Before, I was chasing success to prove something. Now, I play because I love the game, and I do not take a single moment for granted. A reporter asked, do you ever think about life after football? Kelce nodded. Of course, I know. This career will not last forever. That is why I focus on more than just football. I want to leave an impact beyond the game. He continued, that is why I give back, why I connect with fans, and why I try to help young athletes. When I retire, I do not want to look back and regret that I only cared about football. I want to know I made a difference. He turned back to the young boy. Regret is only regret if you do not learn from it. I made mistakes, but they shaped who I am. Today, Kelce was not finished. His final message would be the most powerful of all. Travis Kelce's unexpected reply at Homeschool Days event stuns the crowd. Part 8. Travis. Kelce looked at the audience one last time. At the end of the day, success is not just about winning. It is about who you become in the process. A fan asked, if you could go back and change anything, would you? Kelce shook his head. Number. Every mistake, every challenge, every regret, it all shaped me. I would not be the player or person I am today without those lessons. He turned back to the young boy. Regret does not have to define you. It can push you to be better. Learn from mistakes, appreciate the people who support you, and never take anything for granted. The crowd listened as Kelce gave his final message. No matter what you do, football, school, do it with passion, do it with gratitude, and make the most of every opportunity. Reporters captured every word. Fans took in the moment. Kelce had shared more than just a story. He had shared a lesson that went beyond football. What do you think? Should we focus more on the journey rather than just the success? Let us know and stay tuned for more inspiring stories.